Happy holidays, everyone! I've been at home sick the last few days, and it's been the perfect time for me to focus on my end-of-year review. I do a big review of my entire business at the end of every year. That way I can really keep track of my overall progress towards my goals. I can keep track of what is working and not working, and then I use this report with all of this data to really make my strategic plan for the coming year. This is something that I started doing a couple years into my business, and it has really helped me a lot. So I thought I would make this quick video just sharing everything that I include in my end-of-year report. For those of you that don't know, I'm Doug the Dog Guy. I'm the owner and founder of Bad to the Bone Pet Care. I've been a full-time professional pet sitter, dog walker, and pet business owner for almost a decade now. And I would love it if you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with my content. I post these videos sharing my experience and my knowledge with the hopes of helping other people succeed. And if you look in the description below, you can actually download my top 10 tips for pet sitters and dog walkers for free. And of course, for those of you that don't know, this is my pride and joy, my baby boy, Turkey Bird. You all know how adamant I am that you write a business plan and that you use this business plan as a way to really reverse engineer your overall 5 or 10-year goals. And doing this end-of-year report each year will really help you stay on track with your business plan. And while I definitely recommend that you track certain KPIs constantly and that you do quarterly reports, this end-of-year report really goes more in depth and will help you a lot in the long run. When I made my first end-of-year report years ago, I just hand wrote it in my notebook, and it was just a few key statistics and not really anything sophisticated. But now that I have a larger business and a lot of employees, I end up with a multiple-page PDF full of charts and graphs and all kinds of cool numbers and figures and summaries. And I say this so that you know that we all start somewhere, and that just start with what you have. Don't overthink it too much, and you can hone in on this over time and get better and better at it. So now that I've said that, let's talk about what I actually include in my end-of-year report. I always like to start my report with just a brief summary of some of the biggest milestones from the year. So for me, for this year, I just had a quick bullet point list talking about how we had our first ever monkey client for pet sitting. And I thought it was really cool that we actually took care of 22 Bellas in 2022. I thought that was really neat. It was also my first time ever speaking at a professional conference, and my team actually provided over 12,000 dog walks this year, which was an all-time record by a landslide for my business. So I just mentioned all of that right there on the first page of the report. After this initial little overview, I get into the real stats, and I have it broken down into several sections, mainly focusing on revenue, clients, and my team. And for the revenue section, I look at the overall revenue for the year and compare it to previous years and my goal revenue. And I also break down this overall revenue into revenue per service, and I look at it on a per zip code basis. And I also do this with our profit margin within the same section. And again, I look at it per zip code and per service. And I have line graphs and pie charts with each one of these sections so that I can really get a visual representation of what is going on. From doing this year's report, I can tell you that Friday was by far our busiest day on average, and that June was our best month revenue-wise. And for profit margin, dog walks, midday dog walks were by far our most profitable service. In the client section, I look at things like how many families we serviced this year compared to previous years and compared to our goal for the year. And then I look at how many pets each family had on average. And then I also look at what kind of pets they had. And I also like to pull our most common pet names. This year it was Bella, Luna, and Max were our most common pet names. And I also look at all of this different stuff, again, by zip code. And then I can pull up a map of our county, and I can figure out which zip codes have the wealthiest people per capita, and then compare that to the families that we are servicing. And I get really in detail with some of this stuff. I also look at just some of the average statistics of these families that we are servicing, such as are they homeowners or home renters? Are they old or young? And I pull some of these key stats here so that I can really use this to make better decisions about how I market my business in the future. Again, I can pull some of these stats from time to pet, and then some of these stats I have to track myself throughout the year. And I could make a whole other video about how to pull some stats from time to pet and how I track some of these other stats on my own. Something else that I like to look at within this client section of the report is how many clients signed up for services versus how many of those clients we were actually able to book. And once I have that percentage, then I ask why we were not able to book all of the clients that signed up and what we can do to improve upon that in the future. And then something else that I like to look at within this section is how many clients used us repeatedly versus how many were just one-timers. And again, what I can do to improve that for the future of the business. In the team section of the report, I look at things like who walked the most dogs, who checked on the most cats. And then I also look at some of our biggest successes and failures. Who did I hire that didn't work out? Who was on the team that may have left or had to be let go? Why were those decisions made? What can I do to improve upon that in the future? And then I like to look at things such as who brought in the most reviews, who brought in the most referrals, and all of that kind of stuff. Now, this is just a really brief overview of some of the things that I include in my end-of-year report. And no matter what you include or don't include in your end-of-year review, I think it is just super important that you take the time to at least sit down and think about all of this kind of stuff and get as much of it written down as possible. Because like I said, this really, really will help you with your strategic planning for the future of your business and really help keep you on track for your overall business plan. And again, if you would like to download my top 10 tips for pet sitters and dog walkers, the link for that is in the description. And you can also, at that same link, you can schedule a strategy session with me, and I can help walk you through how to build one of these reports and how to go about your strategic business planning. I'm Doug the Dog Guy from Bad to the Bone Pet Care, reminding you to stay positive.